passe super, l'artiste, super, encore un but sensationnel. That's a brilliant bit of follow-up play by Mahe. Oh my goodness me, what a shot.
Sagosen setter det hen! Han setter den! De er i semifinale igjen!
Hello everybody and welcome to the Uniformed Handball Hour. This is Brian Campion talking to you. And today on the Morning Club, I'm joined by Chris O'Reilly, who's fresh off the spin. And Chris, we're going to focus today. The clock is already running, by the way.
15 minutes.
Chris is on the ball today. 15 minutes. We have to cram it all in here. We're going to talk about the three quarterfinals of the Men's Champions League. You heard three because we're not going to talk about Barca because that's just so boring.
You're really going hard after Guillaume and Barca there, huh?
Well, like, they're losing their coach now as well. So it's just like psychologically they're checked out, I think, a little bit. They're down by 7. If they come back and beat Barca in Barcelona, I'll do the next podcast naked. How about that?
The next live podcast naked. I mean,
no.
There's nothing Alex and I have not seen before. I mean, maybe if we get some big player on for that one, that'd be interesting. Otherwise, it's just another day at the office for the rest of us.
Sure, let's start maybe with Magdeburg versus Płock. Ended in a draw, 22-all. I think honestly now, looking at that return leg, I think Płock will probably never play a weaker Magdeburg in their history. I mean, saying it's weak is maybe not really fair because I think the strength of, or the depth of the Magdeburg squad is seen by the fact that they came back and with that tight schedule beat Rhein-Neckar Leuven during the week. So I think that really shows him that the old guard can still do it. Who's in there, the likes of Damgard are really going to step up now. But saying that, Płock could be looking at that thinking, you know, these guys are tired after a long Bundesliga season, and they're missing now a huge amount of players. So this is our time to shine, really, isn't it?
That was a huge effort from Magdeburg to win that game against Rhein-Neckar Leuven as well. Down by 3 at half time, winning by 2 in the end. And as you said, like, just kind of old school, you know, with Christian O'Sullivan in there scoring 4 goals. Krapkowski is playing in defence. Damgard is, you know, banging them in. But can they keep that going now for like 3 games in a week? They managed pretty well for the most part against Płock, where they managed to not completely throw it away because they would have been probably really nervous once they saw Gisli Christiansen going off. And then Philip Weber also out now, and Oscar Bergendahl out as well. I guess the only positive for them was the goalkeeper performance of Mike Jensen, who came in and had a stormer for the first time in a long time. So yeah, Płock have never been in a better situation than this. Like, the stars are aligning for Xavi Sabate and his boys. They've shown already in the knockout rounds that they can play a game like this against a team that should be stronger than them away from home. And they did that against Nantes, sending that with the penalties. I wouldn't be surprised if it's something very similar again. I mean, I still make Magdeburg very, 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 very narrow favourites, but I wouldn't put money on it. I wouldn't anyway, but I wouldn't put money on it. And I'm really looking forward to this one. Both you and I are going to be there on Wednesday night, and I think it's going to be a nervy affair because for both of these teams as well, looking to make history. Whoever wins this is going to the Final Four for the very first time. And I don't know who I would trust in this situation to pull it off. It may be a case of who can not mess it up more rather than who's going to grab it by the scruff of the neck and win it.
Yeah, I have a sneaky feeling, just with the experience that Płock have of going to France and knocking Nantes out, there's just something up with this squad of players. So I kind of slightly leaning towards Płock doing it and causing another upset, and then Xavi Sabate having to come back on here with us once again to do another podcast. Yes. But yeah, it's going to be a cracker, I think, and I'm really looking forward to getting there on site and watching the game. I'd be worried about the line pair position for
Yeah.
Magdeburg a little bit with Bergendahl, and then obviously Saustrup being injured earlier in the season. That's tough. I think Lucas Meister is the Swiss international is the only line pair left on the roster.
Might have to put Marco Bezjak in there, which I suggested earlier in the season.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Just play without a line player.
Yeah,
Who knows? We'll find out on Wednesday.
PSG Kiel. PSG winning by 4 in the end. I think the consensus online was it didn't really feel like a 4-goal win. Maybe a 2-goal win was a bit fairer. What was your takeaway then from this?
Yeah. I mean, that's what probably would have happened, right? If Saugason didn't slip in those final few seconds, the ball going over his head, and then PSG getting an easy goal. That really hurt, I'd say, because there wasn't more than 2 or 3 goals between them, really. And I think both teams would have taken a 2-goal deficit, but PSG definitely taking that 4-goal lead. And I mean, for them, it's hard to see what the psychological aspect of it will be for PSG now, because they're in a position I think nobody would have expected. Ferran Solé said in an interview on Eurohandball today that we just didn't expect this at all, and surprised at the situation they're in, but they'll definitely take it. I think that'll put a little bit of pressure on them as well. And maybe Kiel can approach it in a bit of a not a happy-go-lucky way, but approach it with nothing to lose, and they'll then need something incredible to happen, which they have the players to do. I mean, you could fully imagine Nicolas Landin producing 20 saves or something stupid like that, and PSG falling apart. But it's another team, not to the extent of Magdeburg, but another team, Kiel, that are struggling with the injuries at the moment. And you feel that Eric Johansson, his injury was the real killer there, because although Sander Saugason played brilliantly, 9 goals for him in that last game, having Johansson in there as just the guy who scores easy goals over and over again, that's a big loss for them.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the rest of the backcourt as well, like Saugason had 9 from 15, Duvniak 0 from 1, Sarabets 2 goals, Bilic 0 from 1, and Karl Vilnius, I can never say this guy's name, Karl the Swede, 1 from 2. So the rest of the backcourt there just really not showing up. And if they're going to try and make a game of this then in Paris, they're probably really going to need to sort that out. But saying that, I mean, of all the away stadiums in the quarterfinals, you probably want to go to PSG, wouldn't you? I mean, there's a good atmosphere there, but it's not exactly a fortress, is it?
No, exactly. Yeah, it's not like... I mean, they've had a great record at home, but you're not going to go there being scared of the atmosphere. I mean, I'm sure PSG's ultras from the football club will come, but they're pretty far away up in the top there. They're not going to scare the Kiel players.
It's a bit like Rent a Crowd as well, isn't it? They just chant no matter what, and it's like there could be PSG could be 10 goals down, and they're just playing their drums and chanting, like, it's a bit divorced from reality sometimes. Veszprem versus Kielce. So I was there for this one in Veszprem, and as always,
what did you think?
It was an absolute mess, really. The whole thing. I felt a very messy game, and it was something that Lauga was talking about afterwards. That he says that teams always seem to set up that way to disrupt Veszprem's attack, and it therefore ends up always being kind of a messy game this season when they play in the Champions League, which I thought was quite interesting. Both keepers I thought were incredible. I thought both Wolf and Corrales had some really, really good saves, both in some one-on-one situations, and Corrales with that fist ball attempt by Dylan Nahi, which I thought was pretty incredible.
Okay.
Lauga I thought was a bit hit and miss. He was 3 from 8, but he did knock in the winner right at the end. And how many times have we seen Lauga tying games like that or winning games over the years? I think probably Mr. Clutch probably was Yaya Eldera. I mean, he did get player of the match as well. I mean, he really showed up when he needed to, and I just really like his way of playing. I mean, he just puts his body on the line, very much like Nikola Karabatic still does, but back in the day, quite a similar build to him as well.
Yes.
But the way he goes in against one-on-ones is quite reminiscent of, I think, Nikola of yesteryear. I think probably Veszprem may be a bit disappointed with their goals in the line. I think there was really not a lot going on there. That maybe kind of sums up how messy it was in attack. Sometimes Nielsen with nothing and Peshmalbek only with 1. I think they'll probably want to look to improve on that, because I think you think of Veszprem, you always think about good solid line playing as well. But yeah, it did feel like Kielce were the better team over the 60 minutes, but kind of the atmosphere and the push from the hall just kind of brought Veszprem, created a bit of chaos and brought Veszprem back into it again. I think Kielce should do it in Poland, but then again, stranger things have happened. And having Remeli in your side, going to Poland, interesting storyline there as well.
Yeah,
returning to Poland for the first time, so I think that could be it'll be a bit of extra motivation for him there, and it'll be interesting to see how that one goes. I like Remeli with Veszprem. I think he seems to be fitting in a little bit better than he did at Kielce, and he maybe adds a bit more calmness to the right back position. And it'll be interesting to know what he does once he goes back to his old stomping ground.
Yeah, we're really like Yahia Eldera as well. I mean, his second half of the season has been really impressive. I think earlier on this season we talked about him not really fitting in just yet, but that's behind him at this point with the club. Yeah, I feel like the home and away doesn't really seem to matter to these two teams in a stage like this, and I mean that's probably a good thing. I mean, for the whole contest, like Kielce, I think will be pretty satisfied taking away something. They probably felt they could have won, but a draw away from home, not a disaster. But by the same token, Veszprem will now go to the second leg thinking, 0-0. We go again, there's no big deal. And I feel like that was kind of, for like 45 minutes of that game, it was a little bit like both teams were still just feeling each other out. Yes. It was like, okay, let's nobody completely fuck this up so that we have no chance in the second leg. As both teams kind of just like, this is a long way to go, lads. Another 60 minutes next week. Let's just take it, let's take it easy. Not take it easy, but let's not do anything crazy here. I got a feeling of that. And then Veszprem took a 2 or 3 goal lead out of nowhere. And that then ramped things up because Kielce then realized, okay, we need to come away with something here. Otherwise this get really dirty for us. So yeah, I feel like this second leg is going to be a lot more intense and hopefully pretty explosive. I think of those 2 draws there that we had in the first leg, Veszprem and Kielce and Magdeburg and Płock, which do you think is the more likely to go right down to the final second and maybe penalties?
I think they both could. But I think I'd probably actually go with Płock in Magdeburg just for the character of that team. I just feel there's something maybe coming there a little bit, and they've really have nothing to lose. So like they can really just go all guns out. Of course, history's on the line for both clubs, as you said. I mean, Magdeburg won the Champions League, but they've never been in a Final Four. I just feel like with everything going on, I just fancy Płock just to really push it right to the end. But look, Veszprem are a really, really good team as well, and they're not going to be anyway intimidated by going to Kielce. They've played Kielce many times over the years, and it's always been a bit of a handball classic, so it's not going to be anything new to them. So 2 absolutely really cracking games. To answer your own question, what would you say?
I think Magdeburg Płock is going to go. They're more likely to go to penalties. I think Kielce Veszprem, somebody's gonna win it in normal time. And sweaty couple of days coming up for the general Polish handball fan. You could have 0 teams, you could have 2 teams in the Final Four by the end of this week, which is pretty nuts. And really no way to tell which one it's going to be. I mean, depending on how you're looking at it, glass half full, glass half empty, both teams could be favourites going into it. But they are facing Magdeburg and Veszprem. So, yeah. We have just over a minute left on the stopwatch. Anything you want to squeeze in there before we go?
Do you think there's anything that the old GOG machine can do against Barca, or is it really like curtains?
Nah, I've heard that Simon Pitlick is going to be rested for this game. They're saving him for the semi-final of the Danish league. So that's that. For that one, I think GOG needed to score every single shot they possibly had on goal to have a chance. Really entertaining game with Barca just another level. Lukas Indrich, fantastic. Emil Nielsen, fantastic. Barca, unstoppable. I think it'll be a closer game in the second leg, but by no means is there a comeback in the books.
Your player of the quarterfinals so far?
Lucas Indrich.
9
goals from 9.
Yeah.
All from open play. There you go. All right. Thank you for watching. This one is free for everyone.
Yes.
Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. This one is free for everyone. Give you a little taste of what we have here in the Morning Club. So if you enjoyed it, make sure you sign up on Patreon. We'll catch you next time.